How you doing? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Educated Colonel Snap channel. Today, big news, we got the patch rundown, lots of things changing. Some very interesting cards I think were adjusted that I was not expecting. So this is going to be a pretty cool one and just kind of sets the tone for the Loki season. Loki's all about unexpected things, so let's get started. Alright, first things first, let's take a look at it. It came out today. We have the new features, Infinite Rank Revamp. So when reaching Infinite Rank, will be replaced by your leaderboard standing. So this is something they've been talking about, definitely for competitive-ish players, where now you'll have like where you are relative, I assume, in your region in the leaderboard, like how high you are ranked. And then snap points is probably just like how many cubes you've earned over time. This is cool. The main thing I would say is a lot of competitive players play Conquest. That's like the more competitive mode. So you're going to have to really want to be playing regular Infinite, right? A lot of players just get Infinite and then they move on to Conquest if they want to do more competitive stuff. So there's not really any like particular reason to do it. I do think there's going to be some people that gravitate towards this, or it has a ranking. It might be something you can showcase if you're a streamer or something like that. But generally, a lot of people will still be playing Conquest for competitive matches. So it's a little bit interesting. I'd love to see it also for Conquest, see something like that. That would also be pretty cool. But speaking of Conquest, we do have improved UI experiences. So I assume that means they removed the "you've lost a conquest" or so, to that kind of annoying thing. So that's a great change, one of the more beneficial changes. They've also had mute saved across multiple battles in the same match, which is nice. If you're against a particularly annoying player that just like spamming, you can just mute them and not care about them. And they have new visuals for Infinite Avatar, so that's nice as well for the people that have the Infinite Avatar border. It looks shinier. People will notice it more, because right now you can't really notice it, in my opinion. Like, I can't tell really. I haven't like fought someone and be like, oh, they have an infinite border. It just doesn't jump out. So hopefully that does help that. We've got the seasonal audios added. A lot of people like that kind of thing. And then Agatha SFX added, which with the Loki edition, some people are playing Agatha with Loki, so it's actually relevant. And then we have the balance updates. We have a handful of card updates with this patch. We want to clarify expectations about patch changes to cards. Our goal on patch day is to make adjustments we can't make via the OTA, meaning that they want to do more than number changes. This often includes changes with balance impacts, just as it often includes interesting changes they want to try out. So they're just saying that it's not always all going to be a hit. They want to try things, be flexible with their balance philosophy, and see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then maybe they'll adjust. Our OTA releases remain our priority tool for balances, as we lock patch changes to cards at least 2 OTAs ahead of the patch release. So this gives us flexibility. Cool. Let's look at the changes. So first off, we have Blade changes. Blade's a card that's not really played right now, so definitely can see it being adjusted in some way. So it's going from discard a card to your hand to discard the rightmost card to your hand. This, I would say, is a buff because it gives you predictability, and predictability is just a very powerful tool when it comes to doing things that can be beneficial or detrimental to your game plan. So just moving it to rightmost is nice because you now know what's being discarded, so you can kind of react and say, oh, okay, it's going to be bad here. Maybe I'll wait an extra turn. And it's better than leftmost because that means if you want to change it, you'd have to actively play a card, which is pretty hard. So rightmost, I think it just makes the most sense. Blade has dropped off in popularity and win percentage. That makes a ton of sense. As we examine weaker cards that could use a little love, we've been trying to give a way to improve discards. Okay. It might not be enough to bring new life, but we'd like to find opportunities for small changes with the potential to make some interesting waves. Yeah, I think this is the right approach. It doesn't necessarily change the card too much, but it gives you some more flexibility, some more power. I'm in favor of it, so thumbs up for me. Next up, we have Soulstone. It's losing its on reveal draw card. Right. Wow. I don't think Thanos is the craziest card like the craziest card deck or archetype right now. So kind of slightly weird nerfing Thanos right now. I do think Thanos is a deck that always has viability. There's just so much flexibility with it. So this is maybe something for the future. But my instant reaction is like Thanos doesn't need a nerf right now. So kind of sucks for all the Thanos lovers, right? You're going to be like, ooh, you're going to feel this, right? You're losing a card draw. That's so important. It took players a few months to grasp the might of Thanos, but since then he's been a metagame mainstay. True. That's also true. We love Thanos, but this combination of flexibility and powerful synergies has proven to be a bit dangerous over time. Yeah, even recently there was this control Thanos that was popping up in Conquest specifically. It wasn't as good in Infinite, but in Conquest it was doing really well. So I think this is just Thanos is always good. And sometimes he's the best deck. Sometimes he's, a lot of times he's not. But they're just randomly with card additions and stuff like that. He just sometimes becomes the best deck. So they're trying to lower his base so that it doesn't happen where every few months, oh, Thanos is now the best deck again. So I get it. It hurts for Thanos players, right? People that love playing Thanos, you guys are gonna feel this for sure. But I do understand it. I just think like, oh, it hurts, right? It's maybe coming out of left field because Thanos isn't the strongest right now. While meaningful loss in power, we don't expect Thanos to fall out of favor. I still think Thanos will be played. That's true. I still think Thanos will be played. It's just you're gonna notice it every time that you play a Soulstone. And Soulstone is a good card that you want to play, right? It's not like you moved this into like Power Stone, the draw card to Power Stone, where you still have the same base power, but now Soulstone, is a card you want to keep, where Power Stone, if you're not playing Thanos itself, is a card where you're like, do I play it or do I focus on other things? So kind of interesting change. We'll see how it affects Thanos, and maybe if this is too much, maybe you move the draw to the Power Stone or something like that. So you still have like the same power, but you have to make different decisions. Spider Ham. So Spider Ham is going from transforming the highest cost card to now the leftmost card. So I would say this is a pretty big nerf, honestly. You could argue, yes, it's still transforming like an effective card, and leftmost is more likely to be the bigger card since you'll play your small cards down. However, it's becoming less of a Spider Ham and more of like an Iceman type effect. It is interesting because you'll still see what card you hit, so at least it gives you some game knowledge. So I'd still say it's a pretty decent 2-drop, but it's definitely worse. Your 6 cost cards usually have, or your higher cost cards usually have the best effects, the cards you want to really negate, and sometimes leftmost isn't necessarily, or lower cost cards don't really care that you're hitting them. You hit Silk, whatever. You hit Lizard, whatever. You hit, like a 3/5. Yeah, it might be impactful, but it's not game changing. You're not changing the game at all. So any of those lower cost cards, a lot of times they don't matter. So you're really losing that full payoff of hitting a big card every single time. So definitely a huge nerf for Spider Ham. I'm wondering if it's gonna stay a 2-drop. If this change sticks around, I wonder if it's gonna stay a 2-drop. Because now I do think like making it a 1-drop might not be that crazy, but still, it's still playable. I just don't know if you would play it. I guess then it's not playable. Yeah, I mean, it theoretically it can give you the same result. So how is it? It's just the consistency of it of it hitting something really meaningful drops a lot. So that definitely hurts. And when you're trying to figure out what 12 cards to put in your deck, maybe Spider Ham loses a lot. So I'm not sure about this one. This one I'm not too happy about. I don't think a lot of people were playing that much Spider Ham anyways, because it costing 2 was a pretty big drawback in my opinion. So I don't know. I'm not this one. This one questions. This I would say this is the one I'm least happy about overall. Though you could argue the Thanos change. Though I'm not really a big Thanos player, so maybe it's fine for me. And then we have Snowguard. Huh? So Snowguard's getting a huge change. So you add the Hawk and Beast Auroras to your hand, and they're wow. So you now, instead of it transforming into a hawk or a beast, you play this card. It gives you a hawk and a beast. It's like a crazy Agent Coulson, right? So then there are 2/3s that can trigger the effect or ignore location effects until the end of the game, or the end of next turn, or the game. Wow, this is like very good. Wow, they've fixed Snowguard. It went from unplayable realistically to like very good. Huh. Results weren't okay. It feels like every patch includes one wacky change. Snowguard has been pretty bad. Our change for Snowguard was to make her a novel tool for hot and featured locations, and we fell short. In revising, we aimed to make her stronger. You did do that for sure, and reduce confusion. Results weren't matching intuition around the hawk, so we extended the window to start after it resolves. Okay. We also added text clarity. Text clarifying the effect won't last through the end of the game, even if you hawk on the final turn. Right. So if once the game ends, you're not getting your locations still apply. It's not like you're going to be able to play it and negate like any location really. So this makes sense. I mean, the question I have is this too good, right? Like, did you go from unplayable to like very, very meta defining now? That will have to be seen. You get 2 cards. This is good in the Loki decks that people are already playing. It's good in Dino now. And Quinjet works with this, right? You can have 2 1/3s, right? It's almost like a swarm effect. Wow. I mean, this is a huge buff. It does make the spotlight really good. It does make the spotlight really good. This is a wow. I'm speechless in terms of like how impactful this might be. But yeah, Snowguard's power is jumping up dramatically. I would say definitely an interesting card to play now. And definitely something you want to try. It's funny enough, I don't have Snowguard, but the spotlight is coming up, so I'm definitely going to be working on the spotlight tier list for this month, and I do think we're going to be having the first appearances of some S tiers. Some S tiers. Like, get this if you can. But we'll have to see, right? We'll see how powerful this change actually does make Snowguard, and if it's super recommended. But yeah, definitely impactful here. And then the last one we have is Absorbing Man. So Absorbing Man is going to a 4 for you, which makes sense. This card was crazy. I'm okay with this. So yeah, we saw a huge surge in the strength of popularities of decks based on Forge, Brood, Absorbing Man curve. We knew our changes weakened top decks, and the new kid was already becoming a big deal in ranked and conquest. True. This case was unique because it risked an especially dull metagame to let it ride until our next OTA. We decided to make a change now. Yeah, I agree with this. Absorbing Man to a 4/4, I think this makes a ton of sense. It was a 4/3 initially, went to a 4/5. Didn't really think about the full synergies, especially with Brood. But moving it down to a 4/4, I think weakens it enough where you can still do Forge Brood, and that's fine. But now the Absorbing Man also isn't giving you like extra 15, right? So I think this is super justifiable, honestly. So I'm happy with this. Snowguard is crazy, right? This is definitely worth looking into. Spider Ham, I'm a little bit sad about. I don't think it was like in a crazy spot. Soulstone also. Thanos lovers are going to be a little bit sad about this as well. And then Blade, I think is fine. But a lot of people aren't like playing discard, so it's not like super impactful. It's still a super impactful patch, especially with the absorbing change, and so Snowguard and Loki meta, I think is also pretty good. So, all right. Overall, patch is good, right? Like, keep in mind we have the conquest improvements, which I think are nice, and then the infinite rank revamp. This one we'll have to see how much people care about it nowadays, but it's still something for players to do. And some players are just infinite rank mode players. They don't play conquest at all, so this is helpful for them. So wow. All right, what are your thoughts? I know my thoughts definitely, but what are you guys thinking? Do you guys like these changes? Especially, I'd love to know Thanos players. How do you feel about this? Obviously, you guys are going to be like, I hate this. Never mind. I know what you guys are going to say. You guys are not going to be like, oh, our deck was too good. And I think this balances out a little bit. You guys are not saying that. You guys are like, how dare they nerf my favorite card? How dare I'm going to rage? You know, I hear it already. But yeah, definitely an interesting change. I do think this Loki season is pretty cool too. So, and once the data mines come out, we'll start working on the September Spotlight tier list. I think that's going to be really interesting. So a lot of cool things. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Educated calling snap. Once you watch him, you won't go back. He'll teach you to marvel snap. Your skills will be improved. I need to change the outro pictures, by the way, guys. I've been lazy with that. You'll hit infinity and won't go back.